say all the bad shit you want to say about Joe or Shay or whoever.
How's this right now? No way. I'm not going to put that
sounds
on
perfect.
recording.
Does this look okay? I think it probably looks fine.
Joe would just laugh. Shay would make me pay for it.
Is that recording? Okay, cool.
That Jits Life. All right, cool. That Jits Life. Ric Chadd. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for doing this with me, man. I appreciate it. You're one of my favorite training partners
I
in Jiu-Jitsu.
enjoy every minute of it.
What are you, 37, 38?
Me?
Yeah. Or you just look
Plus, yeah, no, I just turned 55.
Nice. Well, that's like you and Coach Dan. That's kind of what I aim for. I'm only about 10 years behind you guys, but my goal is to stay in shape and be able to do this for a long time.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah,
it's important. As you get older, everything gets harder. So
you're not kidding.
all the preventative maintenance is done when you're in your 30s and 40s.
Yeah, I wish I could go back in time. Long stories there, but I had a chance to start training in the mid-'90s with Henzo in New York City. Did not take the opportunity. I think I was training karate, but we'll get into that a little bit maybe. So why don't you tell everyone where we are? You can see the big sign behind us.
We're at Evolve Danceplex. It is a family venture that we are doing with my daughter and her family. It is mainly my wife and my daughter, Wendy Chadd and Brittany Hall.
Awesome.
Wendy is the brains behind it, and Brittany is the technician.
Nice.
We'll say that. I don't know if that's going to go over well, but
yeah.
Brittany's very smart. They both work their tails off, and it is a passion project, definitely.
That's awesome. This is a beautiful space.
Thank you very much.
It's fantastic. I've seen all the, this is the first time actually being here, but seeing the filming and stuff on Instagram, it's just such a cool space.
Yeah, and it was awesome. And in 6 weeks, it was actually once a jiu-jitsu school, funny enough.
Yeah.
And turned it into Knoxville. It's going to be the premier place to train.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
I love it. So we'll get into more towards the end about things because you guys are still pretty new.
Yes, sir.
So we'll get into some things you guys haven't coming up or class times or anything you want to promote towards the end, or if the opportunity comes up, feel free to start talking. So That Jits Life, we're talking about jiu-jitsu, lifestyle related stuff from hobbyist perspectives. We're both pretty much in that boat. We've got families, kids, regular jobs. I don't know about you, but I don't know anything about rule sets for competition. I don't have any interest right now anyway in competing. And there's a ton of like high level guys that people talk about, like Stefan and Joe, and I'm like, yeah, like I don't know who that is. You know?
I follow a lot of those guys that they do talk about. I don't understand everything they say. I'm not even going to pretend to. Our class is such a high level class, and the instruction is such a high level instruction. It's awesome. It is not. I kind of started making a joke. Joe would explain something or Stefan. I'm like, typical white belt stuff, because it's just like
way weird.
Yeah,
it's funny. I'm getting higher up there now, barely higher up, but a lot of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what that is. Now I'm like, what? I've never heard that ever in my life. And I got, I didn't know what a choi bar was I think I heard the name maybe, and I walked in. I was just working. I walked in. And Joe and Dan were kind of messing around on the mat, and Dan wanted to show Joe a particular detail about the choi bar. So he asked me to come out to be his uke so he could show Joe on me. Didn't tell me what they were doing, and right when he was putting I forget how it went, but I ended up looking into his shin basically and caught his shin right in my nose and just exploded blood everywhere. So I'm like, I probably should know what that move was. But it would have helped to, not look into it. But
he was talking about that. He taught our class on Friday.
Yeah.
And that was a great treat. And he mentioned that, and I had no idea what it was. So, yeah, I'm right there with you.
I'll show you next week.
And congratulations on your purple belt, by the way.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
That's awesome.
Thank you. There's something called imposter syndrome, which is a real thing. I still don't feel like I earned it, but Stefan said that Joe does not give away, I forget how he worded it, bullshit belts, basically. Yeah. So I'll take it. I'm very humble to have earned that. And So anyway, we're going to have just a real free-flowing sort of conversation. So what I did want to ask you, because I just recently heard this through the grapevine. So you did just start jiu-jitsu. But
this is my third attempt.
Oh, you mean like tried it like years ago in California still?
When I was coming up through the ranks, I've done traditional karate for 26 years now.
Yeah.
And when I was about a purple belt, we had one of the Valente brothers out of San Diego came up to our school once a week for a year, and I loved it. And then that was the end of it. He quit coming. There were no jiu-jitsu schools in our area at the time, back in the late 90s. It still wasn't as popular by any means like it is now.
Right.
We had Taekwondo and
LA's quite a ways away from.
Yeah, we were actually in Riverside County, and so we were smack in the middle of San Diego and LA. And he would come up from from San Diego once a week. Years down the road, back in 2012, I had our school, and I went to a neighboring city and was training jiu-jitsu for about a year and a half.
That explains it. I knew you weren't.
Mostly gi stuff. Once a month, twice a month would be like just take your jacket off and rash guard. No gi wasn't big back then.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And it was my getaway. I would go 3 days a week, hour and a half class. And unfortunately, my wife, she was diagnosed with a tumor.
Oh.
Everything turned out amazing. As you know, she's standing over there. I was going to
say, glad to hear.
Yeah. And, but I quit. I had to be home for a while.
Yeah.
And running a business and having 2 young kids, and
it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, could I have still gone? Maybe. Would it have been great for my marriage? Absolutely not. So
priorities, I guess.
I shelved it.
Yeah.
It's something I always wanted to get back into. And we moved to Tennessee from California almost 3.5 years ago. And I'm about 17 days away from my 1-year anniversary at Memento.
Are you really?
Yes,
nice.
sir.
Nice.
September 18th was my first class.
Oh, wow. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
It's coming, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And not only do I love jiu-jitsu, but your training partners and your culture at the school is what makes it great. And you guys built a great culture there, and you're part of it. Everyone that trains there is part of it.
I was going to say, and it all stemmed from Joe.
Yeah.
He's got a great vibe about him.
He's
willing to help out everybody.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Yeah, so you're relatively new-ish to jiu-jitsu.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned 26 years in karate, and was it very recently you just got inducted to the martial arts Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's Masters. I think it's called the Masters Hall of Fame, Masters Martial Arts. Back in 2019, I was nominated by a friend of mine who he'd be a great podcast for you someday if I can get him out here.
Okay.
He was in the original Karate Kid.
What?
Yeah.
Who?
He was 17 at the time. His name's Daryl Vidal. And he fought Johnny in one of the tournaments. He was in a few scenes.
Oh, that's awesome. I probably recognize him.
And he was involved in some of the others as he's getting older. Gosh, Daryl, if you ever see this, don't get mad, but he's starting to look like Mr. Miyagi. And if they ever did a true remake, they should cast him for it. So he nominated me. I got inducted is the short of it. And it was awesome. It was a great honor.
That's awesome, man.
I don't talk about it a lot, so I don't know how you found out about it. But
someone at the gym mentioned something, and I was like, I'm not surprised.
Just a fun fact. We'll get off on a side note, but the crane kick in the Karate Kid tournament, he invented that.
Seriously?
For the movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
This isn't a side note. This is what this podcast is about, man. Talk about random shit that's somehow, in a weird way, connected to jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Got to tie everything back. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you, was it 2 years ago you had a double hip replacement?
Yes. We moved to Tennessee. It's been crazy. We moved here in 2021. 2 months later, had a wedding. Then had a grandbaby. Had both my hips replaced in 2022.
Man.
And then had another wedding in 2023. So it's been nuts. And getting back into jiu-jitsu was, to be honest, it was just flat out scary.
Yeah.
Not knowing what my hips could do. And it's funny is everything that's happened to me, when I say happened to me, like little nagging injuries.
Yeah.
You know, there was a guy in there that cranked my neck one time and hurt my neck, and just kidding, Cody. And things like that. My hips haven't bothered me.
That's awesome.
Well, I walk in limping because my hips hurt, and I sit down on the mat, and like the pain goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
So are you still doing PT for that?
No, just myself. And
Just matter of just getting through it.
If I'm not, pretty much, if we're not at 6 a.m. class, we're at the gym
Gotcha.
working out because I got to keep it strong and keep it loose, and I
Yeah.
need to be better about stretching and.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, talking about stretching, I go to the so I get to Memento at like 5 a.m. Class starts at 6, but I get in between 5 and 5:30, specifically so I can stretch. Got this weird back hip thing with an SI joint, and if I stretch enough, it'll allow me to do class. And sometimes it doesn't allow me, but I try to work in stretching, some PT that I'm going through now, and a quick like calisthenics workout. Just try to be in shape. I lost like 35 pounds in the last like year and a half, and I don't want to put it back on. I've done that probably 5 times in the last 15 years, and yeah, so just trying to be active.
that's
So looking up to you.
same thing. I actually got into karate because I needed flexibility. I was bodybuilding. Wendy and I were both personal trainers at Gold's Gym.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
And I was did a lot of just powerlifting, and I was 245.
Just jacked.
Yeah,
there's no beer
I
guy there,
had
was there?
fat. No, but I was
244. What are you now? Like 170, 165?
175, give or
Damn.
take, on an average day.
That explains why I struggle with you a little bit. I'm 162.
Some days are 180. If it's
extra
Monday,
muscle.
Monday might be 180.
Yeah, depending on how you eat today.
Yes.
That's like my every Monday. I'm like,
Yeah.
I might sit out today. It's too full. Started out not drinking any beer, and then, one thing leads to another.
So we were at Gold's and had a couple guys that went to the dojo that I started at. They said, just come in and be great for flexibility.
Yeah.
And that's how I got started.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I should, real quick before I forget, some unofficial, official sponsors of That Jits Life: Memento Combat Sports, Recalibrate, Active Recovery Studio, and now Farm Bus, Tennessee. Coach
Yeah.
Dan and his, I think it's Owen, is his name, that owns it, but it's kind of a whole family thing.
That's awesome.
Farm Bus looks like a yellow bus, and they go from spot to spot, sort of like Taco Bus, and it's all organic food. His daughter, Lauren, I think her name is, she makes just all this fantastic homemade stuff, but it's all healthy, all natural stuff. Got, farm fresh eggs, all this stuff. It's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I know they butcher some hogs too.
Yeah, and I think he started working with John with Pushback Farms for chickens, actually. So they're selling chickens through him, through the Farm Bus, I should say. But yeah, they're just kind of getting going, and it seems like it's picking up quick, kind of like you guys here.
Yeah, we've been here, to touch on this, we've been open, August 5th was our first day of classes.
That's great.
Our grand opening was August 3rd.
Yeah.
So we're coming up on our first month, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome. I think we have 55-ish dancers here.
Wow.
And it's something our daughter's done since she was 2. She started karate at 3, dance at 2, and she's never stopped dancing. She was dancing professionally by the time she was, 12 or 13?
Really?
12. And yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
She's pretty awesome. She's out there. If people search her name on YouTube and things like that. She's got a channel. And
That's pretty awesome.
She's amazing. And she's had 2 foot surgeries.
Really?
Excuse me. Yeah, the year she won her national title. Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah.
The year she won her national title, she'd be up on stage dancing, and I would meet her at side stage and carry her off. She couldn't even walk. Just
Really?
everything to get through it.
Man.
And she had double foot surgery. Then she had both hips repaired.
Jeez.
And she just keeps going. She's a beast.
That's dedication, man. That's hard work.
I like to say this all the time, and say my kids are gangster. They go through some stuff.
Someone literally yesterday told me that about you guys as a family, that you guys are, maybe it was Josh.
I say that
He said,
to
those
Josh
guys are
all the time.
gangsters. I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, what am I getting into? He said, no, they're really hard workers. I was like, okay, I can deal with that.
Yeah, my kids are tough. If I'm half as tough as my kids, yeah,
That's awesome.
They both have their own challenges, genetic challenges that if you looked at them, you'd never know. My son's got a bleeding disorder called hemophilia, so he gets IVs 2-3 times a week if he's compliant. And
man.
still did karate his whole life, rode dirt bikes and quads, and And we didn't, he couldn't spar. He couldn't play football, but we didn't stop him. He sparred every Saturday, and pretty heavy contact sparring. And it's just, my daughter at 8 was life flighted out of our hometown. She was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Jeez.
With a blood sugar that would have killed anybody but her.
So it just dropped too much, and then you had to call an ambulance for it because her blood sugar dropped so much?
No, so high. She was sick off and on they call it a honeymoon period, which is the stupidest name in the world, but your pancreas is going in and out, in and out. And when she was finally, every time we've taken her to the doctor several times and they run her blood sugar, and at that moment it was good. Well, the one day she was diagnosed, it was 856. That would kill most people. It'd be at least unconscious.
That's crazy.
And took her to the doctor. Actually, her doctor called Wendy and said, hey, meet me at the emergency room. And we met there. And when Life Flight, actually, jumping around here, they called San Diego and said, hey, we're sending this kid ambulance. And he said, nope, I'm sending a helicopter. They life flighted her out. And when the pilots got there, they said, hey, where's our patient? And she's like, here I am. And they look at the numbers and they look at her, and they'd never transported anybody with a blood sugar that high and
awake
and conscious. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So she was gangster when she was 8.
Dude, my kids are tough as hell.
Call her G.
They get it from their mother.
It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So kind of going back towards, I always hit the ties back to jiu-jitsu somehow.
Yeah.
So, well, a lot of stuff is related, but, I talk about it almost in every podcast, like recovery and, so do you have a certain type of routine, like night before class, after class, what you're doing to kind of keep so you can keep coming back?
The morning class makes it the challenge, I think, for a lot of people. And for me, it's the only time I can go. I teach at night, so I don't get home till 9 o'clock. So it's 6 a.m. or nothing. And so I have trouble coming home and going right to bed.
Yeah.
So after class, because I don't get enough sleep, I started going home taking a nap.
Nice. Like 8.
Like this shirt, right?
I was going to say, some grandpas take naps, real grandpas train jiu-jitsu, then take a nap. I love that.
That's what I do. I put it on, and Wendy said, laughed at it. I go, but it's true. She's like, yeah. So
I'm jealous.
When I get home from class, first thing I do is literally go try to lay down for like a half hour, 40 minutes, and it helps out tremendously. But night before, we don't eat out during the week. We don't eat fast food, like never.
So you don't feel like heavy garbage
next
morning?
We eat as a family very clean, which makes it easier getting up in the morning. Weekends are off limits. We do whatever we want on the weekends.
Yeah.
Have a couple drinks. We don't drink during the week. Getting up too early, it just makes it too hard. And if, you go out to dinner and have a drink or two, boy, you feel it the next day.
You're not kidding.
I couldn't get up at, 4 o'clock. And I'm going to try to get there earlier and come stretch with you.
Yeah, meet me there. Let me know if you are going to come in at 5 for some reason. Let me
I don't know about 5.
Sometimes I get there at 4:30 and I kind of just meander my way in.
I'll start at 5. I'll shoot for 5:30.
There you go.
I get up at 4 I get up at 4 every day, so I can make it.
What do you do? So what do you do before you leave the house if you get up at 4?
I get up at 4, do a protein shake, cup of coffee, and sit down. I do Spanish. I do Duolingo.
Do you really?
Yeah, like 15 to 30 minutes every day.
I'm learning all kinds of stuff about
That's
this guy.
my routine.
That's great.
I suck at it, but hey,
start somewhere.
If we go to Mexico, I can get by.
Heck yeah. Cervezas. Mas.
Baño.
Yeah.
I can ask for a table. I can order food. Get us to a grocery store.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but the morning stuff, I keep it simple. I've tried training on an empty stomach. I got to do a protein drink. So,
yeah.
But I got to give it time to kind of get through. I can't drink it and run out the door.
Yeah.
So I take that right at 4:15 ish. That gives me hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes before class.
Yeah.
That and a cup of coffee, and I'm good to go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started doing that too. Just because before training, I do like calisthenics and stuff. So, Tia Templeton with Live Your Wellness, she's a massage therapist. She does trigger point on me and stuff. She's a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. So she was doing trigger point on me, and I was saying how I was doing an OMAD thing forever, and I was only really eating at night. she's like, you might want to, because I was getting tired in the afternoon. She's like, you might want to eat around your training. So I'm kind of doing the same thing now, having a protein shake kind of on the way. Sometimes I just take a few sips just to get something in my stomach. So I prefer to train on an empty stomach if I can. So I'll get a little bit of that, and then afterwards, Greek yogurt, some homemade trail mix and stuff like that. Yeah, kind of the same thing. What time do you go to sleep at night?
That's bad. I try to get to bed by 10. Usually it's between 10 and 10:30.
So like 5.5 hours of sleep?
Yeah, because I'm up at my alarm set. If you open the phone, it's 4 a.m. 5 days a week.
Yep.
If I'm tired, I'll like set all my stuff out the night before so I don't have to think about it.
You don't normally? I have to do that. So many people have to do that. Talk about like routine and like being prepared and stuff. So when I get home, I immediately, before I even let the dogs out, I've got updating my gym bag, throwing everything in the hamper, repacking my the yogurt and the trail mix and all that stuff, making the protein shake. I think I'm in the habit enough now in the morning. If I didn't do any of it, I would still do it before I left the house. But it's so easy to use as an excuse when nothing's ready.
Well, but you're also, when you leave, you're gone for the day.
You go right back home.
I go back home, so I just got to get dressed.
Yeah.
I got to put on something that, matches, hopefully, so I don't embarrass myself.
That morning, though, like when you're getting ready for jiu-jitsu, so you're getting everything ready in the morning. Typically, sometimes you get ready at night.
Yes, I'll lay out what I'm gonna wear the night before and just put it in the bathroom. So I'll say, right before I leave, about 5 a.m., I go in there, brush my teeth, and get dressed.
There you go.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah,
keep it simple.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, that's always the question, because there's part of the 6 a.m. collective is that joke around about being America's scariest coffee club because it's so early, and like joking around about competing against at 6 p.m. But we got to do it by like 7 o'clock because I'm in bed at 8 every night. Yeah. I sometimes, last night even on the weekend, sometimes my wife hates it, but I'm like, she good? He's putting Quinn to bed. I'm like, I'm gonna just sort of slowly dip away. But sometimes it's like 7:30, but usually more times than not it's between 8:30 and 9. I try to get it. I don't sleep heavy through the night, not a lot. Yeah. So a lot of times I'll get up at like 2 or 3, and then sometimes I'm just sort of wired. But yeah, I started changing some things with, I do like a beer or two here and there. But for the longest time, I would always drink stuff like Corona or, Miller Lite, whatever, it's regular beer. But it's not that strong. I grew accustomed to liking the taste. So if I drank beer after work, I'd have like 4 or 5 sometimes. It's not like I have a crazy high tolerance, but I like to have a few of them. And then, so my thought process was, I'll start drinking IPA instead. I don't like the taste of IPAs. They're a lot stronger. So after work, after I get Quinn home, so it's like 6 o'clock, I'll get like a 20-ounce IPA that's like 10%. And usually I barely finish the one. But now, so it worked perfectly for what I wanted it for. It didn't have a lot. It wasn't heavy in my, food or whatever, heavy belly, but I've got accustomed to it. So now when I try to drink stuff like Corona, I'm like, this is gross. It's just like, it's like water. I have to drink like 6 of them. So now I actually kind of like IPAs, but I'm trying to go back to not drinking during the week at all, which I did for a while. But I don't really have a problem getting up and training and, overeating at night sometimes, even after having one beer. So I do pretty much every night do that. But I'm going to be starting this no process food thing with my older sister who's out near San Diego now. And I'm going to try to not drink beer for a while.
Yeah.
It's like my only vice.
Well, I think when you cut something out completely, that's when you crave it. So if there's something I really want, we have it on the weekend. Yeah. And we've done it so long because I've got up at 4 a.m. for 30 years, maybe longer.
Really? Yeah. So not just now with jiu-jitsu, so you've already gotten up really early?
Well, when I had my school in California, we had a 5 a.m. class.
Did you really?
And 3 days a week. It was 3 days a week. And for those 3 days, we would also get there at 4 a.m.
Man, that might actually be America's Scariest Coffee Club at 5 a.m.
We would get there at 4 and we would do a workout, kettlebells and things like that. Then we would take class.
That's awesome.
And, not everybody had to come to the workout. But we had 25 guys that would get there. California's different, though. You starts earlier. And
for traffic purposes?
They just start earlier because if you have any colleagues on the East Coast, they've already been working.
Oh, yeah. It makes sense. Start at 6 a.m. because it's 9 a.m. on the East Coast.
They'd have to be out at, we'd go 5 to 6 and they're out the door by 6:15 on their way to work.
Man.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It is. I prefer Tennessee. I prefer the East Coast.
Yeah, it's funny because
I like the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, and I've only been in the Eastern time zone as far as living. I grew up in New Jersey, lived in Florida for 16 years, and then in Tennessee now for 6.5. So I went from like crazy traffic, really busy, to what seemed like way less traffic, and then came to Maryville, and it's like even less. I mean, especially that early in the morning, there's no one on the road.
How long you been in Maryville?
6.5 years.
Okay.
6.5-ish. Yeah, we originally moved into in Townsend. My in-laws have was now their full-time house. They had a sort of a summer house, so they were not there for like 6 months. So I was able to take a job. We moved here, and then my wife looked for her work and daycare at the same time, and it just worked because we were just there for 6 months. Then we found the house we're in now in Maryville, and just like the town I grew up in New Jersey, Hackettstown. It's a tiny little town. I mean, tiny. It's like 23,000 people, but it's a pretty big town, so it's spread out. But sort of same thing. It's a little Main Street, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we love it here. We love it here. I mean, my son-in-law trains at Memento, as you know. We tried to get my son in, and he lives in Kingston. It's just too far. But
yeah,
finding a good place where you can go, right? You know, whether you dance or you do jiu-jitsu or you do karate or taekwondo, you need a place.
Yeah.
And finding Memento was a blessing for me.
It's been great. I've never been anywhere else, and everyone that comes there says the same thing. Just the vibe is so everyone's just willing. Everyone wants to help everyone out. There's no negativity there. You know, someone shows up and just want to get in shape and they don't know where to start. There's like 50 people they can talk to and get good guidance.
Is the 6 p.m. class as close as the 6 a.m. class? Do you know?
I don't know. I've been to a few. I got my wife to try jiu-jitsu a few times, and we did the 6 p.m. after the 5 p.m. kids class that our son did a couple times, or a bunch of times, whatever. And it's very busy, but I don't know if it's the same because it's very busy. There's other people there. There's parents still there. There's a class after it for MMA or Muay Thai or whatever. So I don't know if it's the same people that train, but I imagine there's a little group of people that are always at the 6 p.m.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of people like Shay and other psychopaths that do like 3 trainings a day.
Do both.
Do the 6 a.m. like Clay. Shout out Clay Dobson. Crazy.
Yeah.
2-3 times.
That 6 a.m. class is so high level. It really is. If you just break everybody down individually.
Yeah. 10 a.m. is great too because I'm there all day. 10 a.m. is very high level too. You'll see sometimes 2 or 3 black belts or another 1 or 2 with Joe.
Oh, wow.
3 or 4 brown belts, a couple purple belts, and just a wide range. But yeah, no matter what class you're in, it's just great instruction there.
Yes,
I got lucked out big time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He's cultivated a great culture there.
100%.
Yeah, and it does. It starts with him and goes down from there. And he's done a great job. I tell him all the time, he's got something special.
Yeah, that's why I had him. It just seemed fitting to have him as my first guest on the podcast. Shout out Joe Watson, Baby Joe, Sloppy Joe. I'm not sure. I don't know 100% where those names came from, but if you met him, awesome guy, savage on the mats.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Yeah.
When I say crazy, crazy
good. Yeah.
There's nothing I can even do.
I think I told this on one of the podcasts. He had a training with Matt York. Shout out Matt York Training. Matt York is a personal trainer, big dude, and he's like 40 pounds less than what he used to be, kind of like you, but he's jacked, which is irrelevant to the story. But he was meeting Joe at the gym because they were going to do, I don't know if they were going to do a workout, like a workout, or wrestling or jiu-jitsu, but Joe's geared up. He's in his no-gi stuff, and one of his other friends just showed up with Chick-fil-A, I think, or Checkers. I think it was Chick-fil-A. I watched him eat like a fried chicken sandwich, the fries on the side, and either a regular drink or a milkshake. And I was like, "Oh, Matt's not coming in." He's like, "No, he's right. He's around the corner, or whatever." I was like, "Okay, like you're still training?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm built different." And he probably burned it all off before he even got to the mat. And I was like, I'd be sleeping and throwing up at the same time. I just ate that in like 4 seconds. But
yeah, my very first class at Memento, Matt was there and Clay were there, and I'm like, damn, I'm in the wrong place. I'm gonna get killed.
Yeah.
But everybody there is so awesome.
Yeah.
They really are.
Kill you in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, they don't abuse me, right? I don't feel violated.
Yeah.
Being older and the hips and a beginner, and but nobody takes advantage of you. It's awesome, man. It's a great place.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Like I said, we lucked out.
I tell anybody, we were here at the grand opening and was chatting with one of the dads. And I don't know how we got on the topic, but he said, of jiu-jitsu. And he said, well, I've always been jiu-jitsu curious. Like, I've never heard it put that way. I kind of literally laughed out loud.
That's funny.
And he's here in Knoxville, so I told him about Sam's school and where he was. I said, just go try it.
Yeah.
Go try it, because if you try it and love it, in 5 years from now, you're going to win. You know, if you go and try it in 5 years.
Wish you started earlier.
Yeah, everybody does, right?
Yeah, that's something I can circle back to real quick before we kind of start wrapping things up. But so I grew up in New Jersey, about 45 minutes outside of the GW, and this is in 94, 95, so right after the first UFC came out, and jiu-jitsu was kind of on the map with Hoist. And one of my buddies who, at the time, he was part of a bunch of kind of cliques with us, but there was one guy he just did not vibe with that we were all friends with, and this guy happened to be like state champ wrestler, like just vicious dude. And so this guy I was friends with, his mom would take him twice a week or so to Henzo Gracie's academy in, can't remember if that's Brooklyn, in New York City somewhere.
Manhattan.
Is that where it is?
Henzo's?
Yeah, I've never been there.
One's Manhattan. I'm sure he's got several of them now.
Oh, yeah, probably. And so I was working at McDonald's. I got my first job at McDonald's at 14, so I was doing that and then doing karate. And I don't remember having the thought of, oh, it'd be cool to go train jiu-jitsu. Never thought of it. I bet like his mom probably would have picked me up and taken me with him. Anyway, long story short, I did not try that back then, because if I did and I got stuck to it, I'd be 30 years now doing jiu-jitsu, starting out there where Gordon Ryan, all these big names are from, John Danaher. Anyway, got back after 6 months of training. My friend was in the gym, and this wrestler guy who I was friends with too, don't get me wrong, it was like a weird in between thing. He just used to pick on him or whatever, and I forget what he did. My friend pulled him into guard and wrapped him up in a triangle in a few seconds. I remember instinctively he was like, if you don't let me out of this, it's gonna be a big problem. It's like, after this, I'll catch you somewhere. I don't know jiu-jitsu, I know wrestling, and you won't be prepared. Anyway, so he let him go, but everyone was like, holy shit, jiu-jitsu? So anyway, long story short, I wish I started back then.
Well, and even back, like when I started karate, there were no jiu-jitsu schools around.
Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't live in LA, San Diego, New York, and where there was, the first schools.
Yeah, was that Torrens? I think.
Yeah, they're still there.
Yeah.
For the headquarters.
And now you can throw a rock and hit 50 different jiu-jitsu academies.
Yeah, pretty much.
I went out there. My sister and brother-in-law and their kids just moved out to, I'm going to blank now. It's like 25 minutes north of San Diego. And I went out there. Actually, me and my dad helped drive my niece's pickup truck with her dogs from Tampa to San Diego, which I do not recommend. That was not fun. But we left like 3 days before my stickers came in, That Jits Life stickers, because my plan was to go out to San Diego and just slap stickers everywhere. Oh. So I'm going back out for Christmas. I'm going to order like 500 on my nieces and nephew who are training out 10th Planet out there, Oceanside, to do that. But yeah, I missed out on that. But anyway, but yeah, there's a lot of amazing jiu-jitsu out there. Now it's just like almost everywhere.
Well, it's awesome. And parents, get your kids involved. Get your kids involved in something. Right?
Confidence.
It's just, martial arts is so good for the kids.
It's phenomenal.
It really is. And
good structure.
The school is what's important, right? Mm-hmm. Wendy and I were talking, and we used to have this saying at our school is, anybody can teach kids how to kick and punch. It's all the other life skills they learn while they're there.
Yeah, learn how to control yourself and use your voice to get out of a situation. And
well, you were talking about Quinn. You see problem solving and
just
controlling anger and just things like that. They get so much out of it that you don't get from other things.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
Get your kids involved.
Yeah, martial arts.
And do it with them. I didn't start till I was 29.
Yeah. Well, I did karate in high school, but I was 30. I think 39 when I started jiu-jitsu. But
do it.
It's awesome. All right, let's wrap this thing up. We're going about 35 minutes. We could probably sit here for 4 hours, but the cameras are going to shut off, and batteries are going to die. And all kind of stuff.
Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Again, you've been an awesome training partner. I'm really glad you let me do this, especially at Evolve. This place is amazing. So kind of at the end here, we talk about, anything you want to plug for Evolve, anything's coming up, any events you want to mention, how can people find you guys on Instagram, yada, yada, all that.
Yeah, Evolve Danceplex. There's a couple underscores there, but Evolve Danceplex on Instagram, Facebook. We are 8373 in Kingston Pike, kind of in the back of the building, but come take a tour. We're here 6 days a week. And hold on, my wife's mouthing something.
Oh, the website.
Oh, I don't even know. What's the website? Evolve Danceplex is the website. Yeah.
EvolveDanceplex.com.
I'm on a need-to-know basis. And I tell you, my wife and daughter, like I said, my family's gangster, and they crushed it. So, yes, all the social media stuff, the website, Evolve Danceplex.
Need to know basis.
Come check it out.
Check a tax you got somewhere at some point in time.
I'm labor and security. That's what I do.
There you go. So ages as little as 2 or 3?
I think she put 18 months to 100.
So
and then she changed that for some reason. But yeah, they got adult classes starting in September.
Nice.
We've got baby classes that my granddaughter's in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, all the way up to, we got high school teams, middle school teams, college, everything.
That's awesome.
Something for everybody.
He's at 18 100. So if you're 100, if you're 101,
you're out of luck.
Don't come anywhere near here. Come to Jiu-Jitsu. We'll see how well that goes. Okay. Anything else you want to plug for Evolve, or anything you want to mention on the outro here?
No, man. I appreciate having you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate you having me on, and
yes, sir.
Appreciate grinding it out with you every day.
Yeah,
You're
man.
a great training partner. I've learned a lot from you.
I appreciate it. Likewise. Appreciate it. All right, man. Let's wrap this up and see you tomorrow. Or no, Monday, Tuesday. Sorry. Tomorrow's the holiday.
I'll see you this week.
I'm not sure if I'm going tomorrow. I might sleep in Labor Day. Anyway.
Depends on what you eat today.
Yeah. I know how that goes. I already know the answer to that.
All right, bro.
All right, man. Thanks again,
you,
dude.
Man. See ya.
Is that recording? Okay, cool.
That Jits Life.